I want to welcome you all to the 35th Annual Athena International Leadership Awards Banquet. I want to start by giving Chris Collins a big round of applause for entertaining us on the piano. We were joking earlier that Chris has a lifetime contract with the Chamber of Commerce for the Athena Banquet, so we'll see her for many more years. This is certainly a special night in which we have all come together to celebrate not only our 35th year of the Athena program in our community, but also some outstanding women leaders that we will welcome to the Emerging Athena and Athena Leadership Sorority this evening. It's such an honor for the Chamber of Commerce to have the opportunity to present this award each year. We are especially honored this year to have two very special women as our guests. The founder of Athena International Leadership Award, Martha Mayhood Mertz, Yeah, welcome. And also joining us tonight, the current president CEO of the Athena International, Ann Plater. We're thrilled to have them both here and really looking forward to hearing from them later in our program. I'd like to start this evening by recognizing the Robert D. McGraw family, who not only founded this award in Lancaster back in 1985, but have continued to support it, the Athena Leadership Award here in our community ever since. Let's give the McGraw family a big round of applause. Of course, I'd like to also take a moment this evening to thank all of our sponsors. You'll see them in your programs, you'll see them on the posters on the wall, and the slides that we've been showing this evening. Without the generous support of our members and our sponsors, community events like this just aren't possible. So please give our sponsors a round of applause as well. I want to take a moment to thank our partners who have helped us make this year's event very special. Martin Barker Design, Interface Video, North End Press, Cheers Executive Catering, Memories in Print, and the Mill Event Center. In addition to tonight's event, some of our partners have also helped us create a commemorative book and a video highlighting the history of the Athena Leadership Award and its recipients. Each of our past recipients this evening have received a copy signed by Martha Mertz, and we do have a limited number of extra copies available for exchange, a small donation if you'd like one before you leave. That's why I have Cheryl. I'm not very good at sales. So, all right. I'd also like to recognize the following government representatives who are very thoughtfully providing proclamations to congratulate our award recipients and our special guests this evening. Mayor David Scheffler, the Fairfield County Commissioners, the Ohio Treasurer, Robert Sprague, State Senator Tim Schaefer, and State Representative Jeff Luray. And finally, I'd like to thank three ladies that are very special to the Chamber of Commerce and myself, Margie Donnell, Cheryl Barber, and Julia Taylor. They've spent countless hours putting the details of tonight's event together and have taken a tremendous amount of pride in creating a really special night to celebrate our 35-year anniversary. So, ladies, thank you very, very much. At this time, I would like to invite our 2007 Athena recipient, Judy Root, to the podium for our invocation.
Dear Father, we are so grateful for this evening, for this opportunity to come together and to have such a wonderful celebration. We are so grateful for those who started the Athena Award, for Martha Mertz, and for Ann Plater, and those who keep this award going through the years. In this community, we celebrate and thank you for the McGraw family and their many years of sponsoring this award for us. We thank you for this community, for the people in this community who support women and support women leaders. We thank you for the opportunity that all the women in this community have to show what they can do and to be a big part of the community. We thank you tonight for those who will be receiving awards, and for all that they have done for and with our community. Be with us all this evening, both men and women, and help us to always celebrate what we can do together in your world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Judy. Each year, we'd like to take a moment to recognize our past Athena recipients that are here in attendance with us tonight. But before we do so, we'd also like to take a moment of silence for those Athena recipients that are no longer with us, including special thoughts and prayers for our 1992 recipient, Nancy Frick, whom we unfortunately just lost last weekend. Let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I will now ask our Athena recipients who are present tonight to stand or raise your hand and be recognized when I call your name. Our first recipient of the Athena Award here in Lancaster, Ohio in 1985 was Jane Jose. There she is. In 1987, Perlene Reffett. In 1988, Sally Spangler. Our 1994 recipient was Fran Miller. Our 1998 recipient, Diane Eversole. In 2000, our recipient was Joyce Harvey. Our 2001 recipient, intending in honor of her mother, Sandy Mulholland, we have Stacy and Dick Johnson. Our 2006 recipient was Nancy Rozier. The 2007 recipient, Judy Root. In 2008, our recipient was Linda Sheridan. In 2009, our recipient was Kelly Ailes. In 2010, our recipient was Marilyn Clark. And in 2011, our recipient was Catherine Cheek. In 2012, receiving the award was Cynthia Pearsall. In 2013, our recipient was Penny Wassam. In 2015, our recipient was Diana Spurgis. In 2018, our recipient was Angela Kryl. And our most recent recipient in 2019 was Dr. Carrie Brown. At this time, I would like to introduce our very special guest joining us tonight, President of the Athena International, Ann Plater.
Wow, what a group. Thank you. I am honored to be here for this milestone celebration. 35 years of recognizing amazing women leaders. That's just incredible. 35 years ago, I was just beginning my career as an engineer for General Motors with very few women counterparts, let alone women leaders. So things have changed a lot, and they continue to change due to organizations like yours and events like this. The Plato quote engraved on the Athena Leadership Award sculpture says it all. What is honored in a country will be cultivated there. And the cultivation of women leaders and their impact in this community is impeccable. All of your recipients and nominees are truly Athena leaders who live and lead by the 8 Athena principles of our leadership model. They are living authentically. They are learning constantly. They're building relationships and fostering collaboration. They're acting courageously and advocating fiercely and giving back and celebrating. On behalf of Athena International, I'd like to honor the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event for 35 years. Your dedication to the recognition of women leaders and their accomplishment feeds the progress we have seen over those 35 years. You are truly leading the change you want to see in the world. So Travis, I actually have a little token. Where'd he go? You can hang on your wall.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
A second recognition I would like to share is one that is quite unique in our history. I'd like to honor the Robert D. McGraw family for sponsoring this award for 35 years. What an incredible impact you have had. When we uplift women, we uplift the entire community. A rising tide lifts all boats, and women are that tide. You've helped create an entire fleet, and I want to thank you. And I also have one for you. So thank you for your continued support toward our vision of balanced leadership worldwide. And stay tuned, there's more coming for Athena International in that regard. And Martha, I'm giving you a minute back, I'm sure of it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ann, for taking the time to join us this evening, and certainly thank you for your leadership of such a wonderful organization. At this time, I'd now like to invite Dr. Carrie Brown to the podium for a reflection on her experience as the 2019 Athena recipient.
When I was 6 years old, about this time of the year, I was at a picnic with my family, and we were celebrating the end of the school year and the beginning of a new school year as the transition was occurring. And my great-grandmother Bessie said to me, "So, Care Bear, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be in charge." And that's been a story that my mom has told many times, and now my husband tells the story. And what I can say is this: you may have some argument about whether I've grown up, but there is at least some idea that I am in charge. Now, as I think about being in charge, I know it's very important to think about the responsibilities of, government in terms of a $200 million budget, or perhaps administrating programs that relate to children and families, and the important things relating to researching organizational citizenship behavior, or perhaps setting policy or leading a team. All those things relate to that sort of comment. But that is not what my great-grandmother was thinking about, and that wasn't what I have kept with me these years. It's a different meaning. And that meaning and this belief that I hold very dear is based upon her responses, and I'm going to share those with you now. So to my 6-year-old self, she said, "You must realize that you are now in charge. You are in charge of how you treat others. Follow the golden rule. Treat others the way that you want to be treated, even if you don't think they deserve it. Keep the commandments, and I will keep it simple for you. There are only 2 things you have to remember: love God and love your neighbor." So that was the first lesson. Treat others well and let them know you love them. Then Grandma Bessie continued, you're in charge of your own creativity and learning. Go to school, stay in school, do as much school as you can, as soon as you can, as often as you can. Give yourself the freedom to use your imagination and understand that that is a gift. You are a lifelong learner. She continued, now this one I love, and I often love this story. She said, you're in charge of finding joy. Now, the reason that was so startling to me is you may know that I have an Aunt Joy, so I thought it was my duty at that very moment to go find joy. She was saying you must seek out joy and find it no matter what challenge you have. She went on to give me ways that you can find moments of joy if you had no money, as long as you had love around you. She said you could find joy just by petting a dog or letting a cat look at you. I think that she was a dog person. But the interesting thing is we always had cats. She also told me that it was very important to show humility and show gratitude for all that has been given to you in life. So that was lesson 3. Find joy in simple pleasures and be thankful. So those are those 3 truths that are part of my life, my everyday life, whether I'm thinking about my childhood or my most recent memories. That is true. She instilled in me this sense of agency, and by agency I mean this sense of having control over how I might influence another person or other people in my life. Later in life, as I studied, I found inspiration in William James, and one of my favorite quotes is, act as if what you do makes a difference, it does. So no matter where I was or what I was doing, no matter what job I had, or where I was in life at that particular time, I wanted to act as if it made a difference. So these lessons are punctuated, are they not, in terms of how we've experienced the pandemic. There continues to be such a strong need to encourage civility, freedom of thought, and respect for diversity. These lessons are leadership lessons, and I do believe leadership is something that is learned. It's a skill, it is learned. Invest in it. And it's found in the Athena International Leadership Model. And I'm thankful to Martha Mertz for her vision. And this vision that brings this balance of leadership with voices worldwide, cultivating women leaders. And thank you to all of the Athena International team. Thank you to John McGraw and his family for their inspiration in bringing together the Athena celebration for 35 years. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for their sponsors and their tireless work and service to others. So within that Athena framework is guidance, and this guidance is to lift one another, learn constantly, have courage, build relationships, give back, and celebrate. There are a lot of magnificent, magnanimous women, including my great-grandmother, that have been wonderful influences in my life. And I remember how she seemed old and wise like the goddess Athena, but old. And this is the part that I will share with you now. She was only 6 years older than I am at this very moment. And don't I reflect about that quite often? So I'm reflecting now on my Athena sisters and the friendship we share. Thank you to Franny Miller and to her favorite brother for your cultivation of women leaders. Thank you to Pearline Riffett for being an inspiration to a very young deputy auditor when you would come in dressed as Mrs. Claus. To someone who was working way too many hours at Christmas time. It was such a joy. It was so refreshing. Thank you to Linda Sheridan for her example of holding up the value of family while contributing to a profession. To so many. Thank you to Judy Root for her amazing example of community and her demonstration of faith. I've enjoyed serving on boards together with these folks. And thank you to Angela Cryle for her amazing support and encouragement this past year. Oh, I could go on, and I'm sure I will miss someone, but I just want to say thank you to everybody in the room. You've been wonderful influences in my life, and I have truly been blessed. Thank you to all the women who are in this room for your kindness and generosity of spirit. I cherish you. I do know how women leaders in the 70s and 80s were treated much differently than women leaders are now. And it's important for us to think about how there is a path that has been forged for us. We should honor that. We are standing on the shoulders of giants, and I believe there are movements among us that show there's even a brighter day ahead. Thank you to my mother for her resilience and example. Thank you to the phenomenal men here tonight, to my husband of 35 years who is not here tonight, but also to my father for his example of encouragement and for fighting really hard to make sure that women, including me, are thought of as valued leaders. Yesterday, when I was talking to Travis Markwood, I mentioned how the Athena leadership model strengthened me, gave me a stamina to make it through some very long hours and some complex work and some turbulent times during the pandemic, and we're still finding our way through the pandemic. At each moment when I thought I could not continue, I pushed myself, just one more hour, just one more hour, just one more hour. And because of that, I would say to myself, you don't really want to disappoint your Athena family. They've really said you could do this. You know, you respect and honor them so much, and you can do this. So about 6% of the population realize their childhood dreams. So I just want to say thank you for making me part of that group, realizing a dream of being in charge, but understanding what it really means it's important to be in charge of. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Carrie, for sharing that message and your experience with us. Some over 10 years ago, the Chamber and the Athena committee decided that it was time to also recognize some young women in our community. They were beginning to exhibit traits of the Athena, of our older Athena recipients that had been in the workforce for a while. And so we felt that what better place to find young leaders than in our local educational institution in Ohio University, Lancaster. So the Emerging Athena Award was created. So at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Dean of Ohio University, Lancaster, for the presentation of our Emerging Athena Award, Dean Jared Tudor.
You're the all-star, not me. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Thank you very much for letting me present an all-star. All right, this is Rachel Heisey, the 2021 Emerging Athena Award winner. Now, you know you're introducing an all-star when it takes you about 6 hours to try to condense things into about 5 minutes. For those of you that have done this work, you know what that means. Now, I met Rachel very early on in my tenure here. I've had this job a whopping 10 months. And when I first met her, she has this incredible professional presence that I was virtually certain I reported to her. I needed to ask her what it was that I was supposed to do next. Rachel excels in virtually everything she does. She excels as a student. She excels as a community member. She is very involved in the Lancaster community, the campus community, and to her professors, she is a complete world phenom in her communications major. All of her 3 full-time faculty have said wonderful things about her, that she's always striving to do better work, complete work, way ahead of time, but also help her classmates complete their assignments in a very professional manner. Now, again, as you can imagine, in the field of communications, I know many of you are communications alum at OUL. Professionalism is really key to everything you're presenting or projecting to the outside world. And Rachel, again, is a complete all-star. She represents the university in many respects. She helps us recruit students. She works with our alumni. She's helping us run the Pickerington Center. She's doing all of that. But on top of that, she volunteers in her community. The Fairfield County DD, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Bickford Assisted Living, Ronald McDonald House. And on campus, she's always involved and celebrate women in the sciences, and Take Back the Night, which is a very important event at OUL. She has won many honors awarded by many organizations. She also serves as the Vice President of Service for Alpha Phi Omega. She is the President of Lambda Phi Eta, which is an international communications honor society. She's also a member of the National Honor Society. She is part of the Allies for Human Rights. She's also on our campus diversity committee. I told you this is going to take a while. So if you want another cup of coffee, go ahead. She is also the 2019 Celebrate Women Outstanding Female Student Leader Award, which again represents or signifies the presence of a role model among our student population. She is also the Alpha Phi Omega Region H Brotherhood Award winner and the Alpha Phi Omega Region H Spark Award. Now, Rachel is graduating in December with her degree in communications from OUL, of course. And after graduation, she will be pursuing 2 master's degrees, one in communications and one in higher education administration. Now, Rachel is early on in her career, and I'm kind of mid-career, but I'm pretty sure when you're done, I will be reporting to you. Rachel Heisey, everybody.
I get a little award. Oh my goodness, how exciting. All right. Firstly, I would like to thank Pam Kaler, not only for nominating me for this award, but for introducing me to the Communication Studies program at OUL. Best decision I ever made, by far. I would also like to thank OUL and all of the faculty for helping me realize my potential and for providing me with a platform to explore and expand my interests throughout the years. I would also like to say thank you to the McGraw family for sponsoring this award, along with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, for providing such an amazing banquet to celebrate the Athena Leadership Award and the Emerging Athena Award. And now on to more personal thank yous. Allison, Gracie, my 2 girls that are sitting back there. You have both put up with my endless shenanigans and crazy ideas for the last few years. And thank you for sticking around. I love you both endlessly. And just for you, Allison, I'd like to thank the Academy. And lastly, my best friend, my mama. With Dad on the road constantly, you were practically a single mother, except on the weekends. But even then, I would still use the famous phrase, "Where's Mom?" whenever I needed anything. You managed to raise 5 kids on your own, work a full-time job, and be the strongest, most independent, passionate, loving woman that I have ever known. Thank you for the late-night fishing trips, the advice, and of course for giving me the best mom hugs ever. I love you bunches. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jared, and certainly a big congratulations to Rachel. Very well deserved. At this time, I'd like to introduce our friend, John McGraw, to introduce tonight's keynote speaker.
On behalf of the Robert D. McGraw family, I would like to thank Travis Markwood, President of the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce, and his staff, Margie, Cheryl, Julia, for helping over the last 2 years to pull this off. Job well done. Thank you to the Executive Committee of the Chamber of Commerce, whose task was to choose tonight's recipient from 15 qualified nominees. Thank you as well to our event sponsors, Fairfield Medical Center, Friendly Bremen Banking Center, Park National Bank, and South Central Power. To all of you here this evening, a special thank you for sharing this evening with my family and to help us celebrate 35 years of Athena. I know my father would be proud of all the recipients and all that they've done in our community. And he'd be honored by the support this community has had for the Athena Award for all these years. To our emerging Athena recipient, Rachel Heisey, Congratulations and best wishes in all your future endeavors. In the early months of 1985, Oldsmobile Division of General Motors, with its headquarters in Lansing, Michigan, was challenging its dealer network of over 3,000 dealerships nationwide to promote the Athena Award, which was created in 1982 by the Chamber of Commerce in Lansing, Michigan. At that time, my father had been the Oldsmobile dealer here in Lancaster for 33 years, since 1952. He was aware of the important role that professional women were playing in the marketplace, in our business community, and that women represented a market segment worthy of recognition, not only as a consumer source, but as a peer group as well. My father and I met numerous times with then executive director of our chamber, David Leeser, and then assistant director, Elizabeth Welsh, to discuss the Athena Award. The creation and timing of this award for our chamber was never questioned. The concern was, could Lancaster and Fairfield County sustain this award for years to come? That concern has been put to rest. I would like to mention that in 1998, when the Pickerington, Ohio Chamber of Commerce showed interest in presenting the Athena Award, McGraw-Oldsmobile stepped up and sponsored that award too for their first 6 years. The Pickerington Chamber has continued presenting the Athena Award every year since. Our speaker today is on a mission to redefine the meaning of leadership. She is the founder of Athena International, an author, an entrepreneur, a sister, a wife, and a mother. Since 1982, Athena has been building a pipeline of women leaders from the classroom to the boardroom. Her vision is lofty: to create a balance in the voices of leadership worldwide. What started with one program in Michigan is now a global movement in 48 states and 11 countries. Nearly 10,000 leaders have been recognized with the Athena Leadership Award in over 500 regions. This includes a Supreme Court justice, Olympic medalist, Secretary of State, NASA astronaut, social justice advocate, and CEOs of major corporations. You're about to hear more about the Athena Leadership Model, developed with the Center of Creative Leadership through research funded by the Kellogg Foundation. She will share 8 wise, indispensable principles that transcend gender and speak powerfully to all who lead in the 21st century. Her father taught her how to win at Monopoly, which led her to a career in residential and commercial real estate. She eventually started a brokerage firm, which she still owns and operates today. Those that know her best say she's like a soft pillow with a brick inside. Please help me in welcoming Ms. Martha Mayhood Mertz.
That was great. Yeah, I've got it. Well, you're going to get the pillow. I just have to say thank you to John and to Travis, to the McGraw family. 35 years of celebrating, lifting women to achieve their highest potential has probably transformed this community. You would know better than I. But in having introduced the Athena recipients and the potential recipients in this room, I know that the legacy that your family is leaving will last forever. It's huge. So thank you. And by the way, I am thrilled that you are here tonight because you, this community, the people in this room, are also part of leaving a legacy for women to come, like Rachel, for all of the people who are learning about capabilities for women. It is you that are promoting that idea and that value within your heart, within your mind, in your community. So when we think about where women have come, how far women have come, why is this award still important? What about this still matters? If we have women who are stepping into leadership roles as heads of state, as CEOs of major corporations, my mind goes to Mary Barra in the state to your north, CEO of major Fortune 500 company. We have women at the highest level of the academic world. We have women who are floating around in space, brigadier generals, just about every possible platform for women to become leaders, women have. And so we have to ask ourselves, why do we still do this? Why do we still care? But what's important as a part of the answer to that point isn't just that women lead. That isn't the whole point. It's how women lead. During this past difficult year of the COVID crisis, we've seen some good examples of leadership that I'm talking about. Norway's Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, called a press conference when the pandemic was starting to hit. Her press conference was for children. And what she did was tell them, yes, it's fine to be afraid during this pandemic. It's okay to be afraid, but I will answer your questions for you. And she did. They wrote in questions like, can I have a birthday party? I don't know how she answered these questions, but I know she was asked. Or how long will it take to make a vaccine? And the point of all of this wasn't so much that she had great information, but she took the fear out of it, not only for the children in her country, but for everyone. She took the fear out. And she was trying to normalize what wasn't a bit normal, but it settled down her whole country. Then I look at Angela Merkel, who is the internationally well-known Chancellor of Germany. And before she was the chancellor, she was a research scientist with a doctorate in quantum chemistry. So what did Angela do when she was faced with this crisis? She broke down the statistics of what would happen on television for the entire country. And she has a very quiet, clear demeanor, clear communication. And she explained why she was taking certain measures and called for national unity behind her. And a video showing her explaining this to the audience in Germany went viral. It was so popular. And unlike other countries, Germany managed to have a lockdown, make it a bit relaxed. Everyone followed her direction, and they have come through this very well. So I take these two examples as the possibilities that women can bring to leadership. with a lot of heart and a lot of guts. And I give them credit for doing something about a circumstance that was unforeseen, had never happened before, and leading in their own countries and getting it right in their own way. And that is part of why we continue to do this award, because it's how women lead that we're trying to get to, and it is different. I'm going to get into that, but John, McGraw, and Travis asked me to tell a little bit about my story. I have to move this a little bit. And here's my story. I was lucky as a youngster to discover my life purpose at a very young age. It was the year my brother was born. I was 3. I called him now King David. And the reason that I say that is because I noticed gradually as we were growing up together, we had a lot of fun, but I saw that the menu of options for him in terms of his professional capability and process was far different than the menu of options for me, which were quite narrow. And my mother told me that was the way society was. And I thought society was wrong. And at that early age, I decided to do something about it. So the two of us grew up, David and I. We took completely different paths after college. He went to Washington, D.C. I stayed in Middle Michigan. But we both ended up being real estate entrepreneurs. And you see the picture of David behind me. He is a very successful person. I've always attributed his accomplishments to sheer brilliance. And I've attributed mine to the fun I had playing Monopoly with my dad when I was a kid. In fact, one of the projects that I built, I named Central Park Place. Anyone in this room play Monopoly? Oh, okay. Well, then you will appreciate that name. I haven't built Boardwalk yet. I hope I can. So continuing on in the working world, at a certain point I was asked to join the Lansing Regional Chamber of Commerce, where I found myself to be the only woman on the board. Now that isn't a rare circumstance among women. But I've recognized that if you're the only one of your kind, your voice doesn't carry very far. But if you have a couple more, it's more effective. So I nominated 2 women for that board. And I was quite shocked to have a colleague come to me and say, Martha, we are not going to bring those women onto the board because it is perceived that women aren't leaders. That's what he told me. His name is Jack. Jack told me, women aren't leaders. Well, I could every day just be so thankful to Jack because he gave me the challenge that I could meet with all of that starting point back when I was 3 years old. He gave me a path to use that. And that's how this Athena Award was started. I wanted to lift up one outstanding example of a woman who was a leader to demonstrate, to inspire others to achieve as she had in whatever way is personal to that individual. And in doing so, that would inspire others in the community to achieve their own leadership. And it would teach us all that we, as women, are leaders. It would teach all of us that. And so, thanks, Jack. You started something 39 years ago, and I never had a chance to thank him. But Athena was an idea that hit just at the right time. And it's, as John is talking about his father, who was, I think, quite ahead of his time, I must say, it started to spread across the country. And Athena became a nonprofit organization. It always has been. And for years and years and years, we were doing the honoring and the mentoring. And then something happened. Something that has become the most important reason for this organization to exist. And it is that we figured out that women didn't really want to be leaders in the traditional manner of leadership. They didn't want to follow what some have called command and control kind of leadership. It's a traditional model, and we're surrounded by it. Most of our organizations are built along a hierarchical structure and so on. And what we found was that women did things differently. And so the question was, how do women lead? How do women lead? And that's where the Kellogg Foundation came in. They saw the value of that. They helped us fund our research. We studied it. We know it's rock solid. And we came up with this Athena leadership model that I want to share a little bit with you tonight. What is in the model? Well, Anne already talked about the principles, and Carrie touched upon them too. And you will all know them because they are drawn from us. These aren't things that you have to necessarily go to school to learn. You already have these strengths within you. Sometimes we just have to recognize that this is leadership. It's not just what people do. So live authentically. What does that mean? It's know who you are. Ask yourself, what do you value? What are your values? And am I living my values? And this is kind of a constant check-in over a lifetime because our responsibilities change, our reach changes, our clout changes, everything changes, and if the wind comes along and blows us off the course of our own values, then we are not living authentically. And everyone else can see that before we do. People can see through that. I'm sure you can think of someone that thought that they were saying something and living it, but doing something else. That's the first one. It's really the most important for any leader to have. Then we have the easy one, learn constantly. We all know that. The base of that is it leads to wisdom. It really also leads to a more enjoyable life because the broader, deeper your understanding of the whole world is, the more enjoyment you're going to have. Build relationships. We've always been good at this one. Everyone knows that women are relationship builders. That's what we've always done. Foster collaboration. This is important. It's inviting others into the path of leadership, welcoming the other voice, somebody else who wouldn't normally be brought in. We do that. It helps to build leaders. Advocate fiercely for something that you believe in, something that isn't right in the world that you want to step forward and make a difference. That's advocating. Act courageously, show up when the moment calls for it, and tell your truth. That's what acting courageously is about. Give back. We've heard that a couple times tonight. It's really important. Along the way, giving back can happen anytime, any place. You can give back just by smiling at someone. It doesn't need to have resources. It's nice when you do, but it doesn't need to have. Say a kind word, say hello, reach out, do something kind. That's giving back. And celebrating. Sounds like a simple thing, tripping along, but celebrating is commemorating our humanity together. Is coming together like we are here tonight. This is a celebration. It doesn't always mean that it's a happy occasion. It covers triumphs and tragedies, but it is coming together to commemorate a moment that was important to those involved. So that's the model. in a nutshell. Now, I added this to my thinking when I was expecting to stand here tonight. When I was in Dubai teaching this model to young women there who were aspiring to be leaders, they asked me to add one. And I have never told Ann Plater about this. She's our president. So she's hearing this for the first time. But these young women, they were 20-something. And they lived in this tiny little country, and most of the women in that country, especially their mothers and before, were behind the veil, behind the wall. And they said they wanted me to add, think globally. And I see their wisdom now, even more than I did when I was there in Dubai teaching them. Now, some of you may have heard of Frances Hesselbein. She was the president and CEO of the National Girl Scouts, and she was an expert on leadership. And she said that this leadership model is definitely not a how to do leadership. It's not how to do leadership. She said this is how to be a leader. There's a difference in the meaning of those things. It's how to be a great person. It's how to become the best version of yourself that you can imagine. This model is a recipe. It's a set of strengths that will endow you with a great life. We all learn the traditional model. It's the structure of most organizations, but this is the other side. It's like two halves of a basketball. And you put them together and you have an ideal combination of leadership skills to carry you forward in this 21st century, which is challenging us to find new ways to do things. So, people ask me all the time, which one is your favorite among these principles? Which one do you like? And I tell them it's a little bit like asking me about my children. I pay attention to all of them, but sometimes I have to pay more attention to one than the other. And it's that way with this model. I'd say that it depends upon the time in my life. When I started out with the ideas about Athena, I was a fierce advocate. Maybe I was a pillow with a brick. Now I'm in give back phase. It depends upon where we are in our lives as to which one of these we gravitate for. But I have left each one of you, thanks to Ann Plater. She provided bookmarks. There's one at each place, and it has this model on it. And I am encouraging you to take that with you, take it home, put it on your refrigerator, or take it to your office, put it on your desk, share it with your staff, share it with your children. This is a model that isn't just for women. This is for everyone. It isn't a gender-based model. It was drawn from women, but it's for everyone. Now, there are still barriers for women as leaders. And although some are different now, women still struggle to find credibility and visibility. The distinguished Dr. Peggy McIntosh, who works at the Center for Women in Wellesley, one of my role models, came to an Athena conference one time. And she was standing on the stage like I am, giving a talk. And she started talking about the mad woman in the attic. And I just loved that reference. This is what she meant. It's that private little voice that we have in our head that tells us something. And we wouldn't necessarily share it with anyone, but it might be something like, I feel like a fraud, or maybe I'm not good enough, or I don't know what I'm doing, that kind of voice. Does anyone here ever resonate with that? Does anyone? I see nodding. I know it. So, at this point, we're still fighting those old battles, and we're still struggling in ways. We haven't fully arrived in the place that we're heading for. But that's what this night is all about. we're affirming our belief in ourselves and each other as leaders. And during this lockdown caused by COVID, one of the things that Athena International has done was to develop a curriculum that is based upon this model. And it is now online, just brand new, it's just been rolled out. But as was said before, from the classroom to the boardroom, it's for middle school girls all the way through college. It's for CEOs of corporations. It's for young women who are challenged to figure out where they will go in the world. This model is transformative. I've seen it happen. I've been part of teaching this model to women in prison. And in that place, I could see for sure deeply how much it meant to them to learn these things, because it is a path forward out of that life into another one. So you might ask, whatever happened to those 2 women that you nominated for a seat on the board at the chamber? You might ask that. I'm going to tell you. One of them became the chief of staff of the largest regional hospital in Middle Michigan. And the other one is serving her 3rd term in the United States Senate. So call Jack and tell him those women were leaders. The Athena principle that I consider the most important, well, it is living authentically. I would like to ask you, I would like to challenge you to figure out which one of these principles is most important to you. I would like you to take that bookmark that you have and find one of those and take it into your heart and think about it. It's more than just a few words. It's a way of being, as I said. My words to the Athena recipients in this room: you are amazing. You have inspired me as I've been here in this community, Lancaster. I said it right. And I just want you to know that if you take this in and you work on it and you think about it, maybe for 30 days, it will matter to you. You will start recognizing a different aspect of your own leadership that you hadn't maybe taken to mind before, taken to heart. And others will learn from you in that way. So as I close, I want to, again, personally thank all of you for being here, lifting women in your community. I want to thank Travis and the McGraw family, the staff at the chamber. I want to thank all the people who worked so hard over several years to make this night happen for all of us. And finally, I would like to tell you again the quote from Plato that inspired us so many years ago. It actually was handed to me on a little piece of paper by my husband. And it said, "What is honored in a country will be cultivated there. If you are honoring these women as leaders, you are cultivating them and the generations to come." And that is so important. So ask yourself, what is your Athena? What is your principle? I'd like you to understand what you stand for within this leadership model. I have left you, the model is my Athena, but I leave you with this. What is your Athena? Thank you.
The Athena Award is intended to recognize outstanding business and professional women in the community and to create leadership opportunities for women. Tonight's recipient knows as a young woman what it's like to climb the ranks of a company, typically dominated by the leadership of men. She knew she had to work really hard, do what she said she would do, get things done, follow up, and make sure people knew she cared. All that helped her establish trusting relationships. The Athena leadership model states that recipients have accomplished extraordinary things from seemingly ordinary tasks, recognizing that something needs to be done, and then igniting passion in themselves and in others. They meet the need with dignity, grace, and sensitivity. The leadership model goes on to say, the essence of the female experience as nurturers, both life-giving and life-defending, drives the compassion of most women. I like a comment that tonight's recipient made last year. She said, "How could you not have women in leadership roles? If you don't have women, you're missing half of the viewpoints." Tonight's recipient knows firsthand the challenges of building a career, starting and raising a family. Tonight's recipient is a regional president of Park National Bank. Comments from her nominations state she is dependable, professional, high degrees of integrity and character, very intelligent, unselfish, works hard, and is a compassionate leader. She is responsible for nearly $1.5 billion in banking assets, 213 people, and 17 branch offices within the Park National Bank organization. She handles oversight of the Park National Corporation marketing activity. Recently named Chief Experience Officer for Park National Corporation. Graduate of the Wisconsin School of Banking 2019, and an honors grad, top 5% of her class. Master's degree in Business Administration from Ohio University. Bachelor's degree in Japanese Studies from the Ohio State University. She was a Rotary Student Exchange, part of the Rotary Student Exchange program back in high school. She did a year in Japan. Graduate of the Institute of Certified Bankers, Certified Trust and Financial Advisor. She was the 2015 Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce Young Professional of the Year. She is a current chairperson on the Board of Trustees of Fairfield Medical Center. She is a member of the Lancaster Rotary Club, of which she is serving as president this year. Former president of the Board of Directors of the Robert K. Fox Family YMCA. Former chairperson and board member of the Fairfield Medical Center Foundation. Former board member of the Fairfield Medical Center Twig 14. Former president of the Board of Directors, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Fairfield County. She is a volunteer for the Fairfield Heritage Association Tour of Homes and an active participant in the Lancaster Festival. She is a role model for all associates, including working parents. She unselfishly gives individual attention to others and supports and mentors others on their personal and professional goals. She cares about people and relates well with people of all ages and types. She takes a genuine ownership interest in anything she does and exhibits focus and attention to detail and follows through. She leads by example. Tonight's recipient enjoys spending time with her family at a lake cottage in northern Michigan, enjoys foreign travel when possible, and learning about other cultures. Her husband is Josh Bruce. Her daughters are Katie and Hazel. Her granddaughter is Leilani. Her parents are Bob and Marty Tussing. At this time, on behalf of the Robert D. McGraw family and the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce, it gives me great pleasure to present the 35th Athena Award to Laura Tussing. I will hold it, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Goodness.
Family is back there.
Oh, they are back there. Hi, baby. Wow. You get up here and your mind just goes blank. That's a lot to hear when you read it all. What a wonderful community to live in and to serve alongside all of you. There really is no better place to work, to raise a family, to enjoy your life. I really can't think of anything better. If I have to think of a quote or something in my head, the first one that comes to mind, my father always said it when we were younger, and my sister and I would joke about it. The journey is the goal. That was always what he said. And indeed, isn't it? It has been a wonderful journey, even this last year and a half. We get through it with stick-to-itiveness, with compassion, with grace for ourselves and one another. And I look forward to the journey ahead. Thank you so much. This is really an honor.
Very deserving of this.
Thank you.
Can I hear you hold it?
Okay. Thank you so much.
An autograph card.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Stick around if you'd like for a little bit. I think we requested that they open the bar back up, so. Athena recipients, past Athena recipients, please stick around. We're going to take some pictures in the side room. But everyone, again, thank you for coming. Enjoy your evening. Have a safe trip home.